All right, welcome back. Ambassador Jerry Ugokwe joins us next. He is a former permanent representative of Nigeria to the United Nations offices in Vienna. Good morning. Thank you for joining us today, Your Excellency. Well, you've been a member of, you're still a member, by the way, of the people of the APC. You've been in the House of Reps. You've vied for several positions. But as it is now, this talk about ensuring the right political communication is key. But the recent conversation making the rounds about the candidates speaking about what they intend to do, why they're seeking Nigeria's permission or Nigerians' permission to lead them with that #1 position is what's currently going on with the SCCI, where the candidates of the PDP and the Labour Party have spoken, and many waiting for your candidate to speak. And at the moment, not many have seen him in public places and leading the charge. Is this a deliberate strategy, or is just waiting until perhaps the date comes for the campaigns to begin, and then he becomes a lot more visible?
I think you nailed it on the head. To start with, many people have not read through the current electoral law, which says what to do and what not to do. As you are aware, campaigns have not started. Campaigns will start on the 28th of September. And people are going around holding 10 million man march, 1 billion man march, carrying party placards, saying vote for the party. And then people are saying, no, it's not campaign, it is consultation. I wonder whoever consults on the streets of Lagos, I wonder what that consultation will end up. The truth is that maybe the electoral umpire is not equipped enough to make sure that the laws are obeyed. Because if there are some countries that I've been to where the things that are going on is enough to disqualify these parties from contesting the election. The law says 28 election campaigns will start. And you fill the streets every day. You say, this is my candidate, vote for him. Whether the candidate is there or not, it is the responsibility of the party to say to party faithfuls, our campaigns will start on the 28th. Once that day gets there, we bring out our arsenals. And that's what it should be. Each time I sit down as a diplomat, having been in the United Nations offices in Vienna, and having attended so many United Nations meetings, you give a directive and then people, disobey those directives. It gives me goose pimples, because what goes through my mind is, if people can disobey such simple rules or laws before they become president, what happens when they have all the authority? Those are the things we need to consider. And I implore the media to also help us in doing this. It is very important. If some of us are not speaking, not because we cannot speak, but because we want to wait from the 28th, then we start speaking, then we start campaigning. That's the problem that I find with us. And nobody sees anything wrong with it. Whenever you say, people say they are consulting, we are deceiving ourselves. It's wrong. So we must do something about that.
Well, the thing
maybe it's too late now.
But we've also seen different political parties, including your party members, the APC, speak about certain things as well. Their strengths, what they think will ensure that Nigerians vote for them, why they think they will win the elections. They've spoken in different fora, and they keep speaking about these things. But if you're saying they've not hit the streets as of yet compared to some of the other political parties, maybe. But speaking about
just like you were asking me,
for those who just went to the streets and did what they describe as sensitization, and then perhaps the momentum that some of them seem to be enjoying, which is debatable. Is your party, your candidates, concerned or worried or threatened? Because there are many who say they are frustrated both with the APC and the PDP because they've not gotten them where they think the country should be at the moment, and as such, they don't really want to vote for any of these two political parties.
Well, if you look at what some of the parties are saying, I don't want to mention their names. Those parties are saying, when you talk about them, they say, no, either we're a new party or, a party did, better or they didn't do better. And then when you go down to what will actually happen in 2023, what they will tell you is that their candidate, they now refer to their candidate. So let me refer to our candidate. Our candidate is not Mr. APC. Our candidate is a human being. And why do I say that? I say it because our candidate, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, if I may say, is somebody who, I believe you're talking to me from Lagos. Somebody you know. And I say this because people are now using, where it is convenient for them, they say the party is new, forgetting that the people who are in those parties came from, these same quote-unquote old parties. In other words, you just take an old wine, you put it in a new bottle, and you say that it is the best wine in the world. That's wrong. Now, you and I know that Nigeria, unfortunately so, that once you become the president of Nigeria, things change. I'll give you a typical example. I was a young man and a special assistant to Senator Ahmed during the NPN days. Now, in those days, my principal will give me a phone and say, call Mr. President. And I call Mr. President and say, Mr. President, we are coming to Dodon Barracks. You know what happens? By the time we get to Dodon Barracks gate, President Shagari will be at the gate to welcome us. That is how important the party was then. President Shagari will leave all meetings and come to the gate of Dodon Barracks and walk the secretary of the party into his office. Right. Does that happen today? So,
we need to take a quick break. But pardon me, when we return, we'll continue from that train of thought. So we'll be right back. We're with Ambassador Jerry Ugokwe. Well, in addition to your point, just to conclude that part where before when they become president, a lot of things change. Well, one thing that immediately comes to mind was before the current president became president, there were several promises. And upon assumption of office, a lot of things have changed. Many of the promises have not been fulfilled. Power, energy, which is huge in this country. The promises made there, among several others, many say, have not been fulfilled. Is that similar to what the point you're making about when you become president, things change?
Well, you said it. The point I want to make is that, you, Chamberlain, if you go to CNN to interview for a job, they will look at what you have done in channels. And they say, oh, you did well in channels, therefore we will hire you in CNN. The point I'm making here is that if you look at those contesting for the presidency of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, what have they done? That's what you look at. When they make promises that I will do A, B, C, D, when they get in there, the situation becomes different. The situation changes. A lot of issues come up, and some of them even will forget what they promised you and I. I am saying, look at what Asiwaju had done in Lagos. I was a student in Unilag in the early 80s. I knew how Lagos was. I was a staff of the Ministry of Works and Housing. I'm an architect by training. I worked in Lagos at, in the Ministry of Works and Housing when all the headquarters were in Lagos. I know what Lagos was in those days. Look at what Lagos is after Asiwaju was governor of Lagos State for 8 years. Those are what we look at. Look at what the person had done when he had the authority to do that. And that will give you an incline, an insight to what that person will do when you give him even a bigger responsibility. I tell people that, I lived for so many years in the United States. I worked in the US, in the government. And one of the lessons I learned in the US was when Reagan was the president of the United States of America. Reagan was an old guy. But what he did, he fished out the best minds in the US, and they were in his cabinet. Up till today, nobody will talk about development of America without Ronald Reagan. And that is the same thing that Asiwaju Bola Tinubu did in Lagos. And that's why some of us are saying, give him the opportunity to do the same thing at the federal level. Because if he does that, Nigeria will be a different nation altogether.
There are several areas to actually follow up on that, but my colleagues in Lagos, I've got questions for Yam and Abuja, actually.
Well, thank you, Chamberlain.
Okay.
Well, Ambassador, there's something you said that I have, raised with other people who we have had to interview, and that's the importance or the supremacy of the party. You mentioned the Second Republic and the supremacy of the party over the president at the time, that he himself will be the one to come welcome the instruments, the political instruments of the party while he is in government. What is it that caused us to lose that trajectory? Because now it would seem like no one can call anyone who is elected into office into power. The governor is the leader of the party when he is governor. There are those who will call that an aberration. I don't know what you make of it. And how do we reverse that trend?
I think one of the problems that we have in Nigeria is that we keep mixing up issues. We mix up presidential democracy with the parliamentary democracy. If you watch me where I do my, I'm an associate professor with the National Institute of Legislative Studies, and I say it every day that I don't call any governor a leader. In a presidential system of government, the governor is not the leader of the party. It is in the parliamentary system where, that person is first a parliamentarian, because before he becomes whatever he is. You come to a minister, you call him honorable minister. Why? He is not honorable minister, he is the minister, simple and short. In the UK system, which is the parliamentary system, before you become a minister, you're a member of parliament. That's why you are referred to as honorable minister. It's not the same in our own situation. This is what I teach, and I talk to students on a daily basis. Let's do things right. But, I think we just get so carried away.
If they love that... If they love the appellation so much, maybe we might as well just go back to the parliamentary system where they'll be required to speak a lot more and ask a lot more questions. Who knows if that's what they are indirectly asking for. But just one more thing before we go. The president is at the UN. He's going to be speaking, I think he'll be the first to speak about 9 a.m., I think 2 p.m. Nigerian time. So now that he is attending that, perhaps one of the last ones before he leaves, can there be any significant, if we could use the word, benefit that will accrue to us before the president leaves office?
Definitely so. I say so because as a permanent representative of Nigeria to United Nations offices in Vienna, one of my duties was to be at UNGA every September for the whole month till October. To prepare when the president comes, to prepare items the president will have to discuss, with other leaders of other nations, to prepare his speech. Now, the good thing about the UNGA and the opportunity for our president to speak is that he will address specific issues. Some of the issues, as you know, I mean, one of them, the most important one, is insecurity in Nigeria. It will create an opportunity for the president to talk to nations who can help us. Matter of security is, about putting heads together to know what to do. So it's a good opportunity for Mr. President to go there. And there are other side events, which he has a closer contact with other heads of states and leaders of nations to appeal to them to support us to address this, issue that is bedeviling Nigeria.
Ambassador Jerry Ugokwe, former permanent representative of Nigeria to the United Nations offices in Vienna. Thank you very much indeed for your time this morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chamberlain. I appreciate it. My pleasure.
Right. We've got a few messages that came through from you, and the very first one comes from Kenneth. He says, talking about issues-based campaign, short campaign time in Nigeria does not allow for issue-based campaigns. However, in Nigeria, experience has shown that campaigns are frequently used to focus attention not on issues that deserve it, but on negative issues that should not be the focus of any serious election campaign. In my opinion, he says, the short time allowed by law for campaigns in Nigeria has aided this development to a large extent. Well, actually, Kenneth, this time around, it's one of the largest, it is the largest campaign period that you have before the elections, actually. So acknowledge your email here.
Absolutely. 6 months is quite a length of time. This one is a tweet from Henry. There's a strong reason why debates and live interaction with syndicated audiences are prioritized in other climes. Let there be a paradigm shift in the manner politicians interact with the people as 2023 electioneering campaigns start. Let their hearts speak.
Indeed. And we close with this very brief one from Omadi. He says, all presidential candidates must speak often to the people and not just throw a round document which can be written by paid experts. I believe that's the most resounding point from today's discussion.
Well, I guess that's it.
All right, well, there you go. That is the show today. We thank you all for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow. Until then, I am Chamberlain, so goodbye.
Have a splendid day. I'm Ayo Makinde.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for your tweets, for your emails. We don't take them for granted. Keep them coming. I am Bukola Samuel Wemimo.